Did you know that many hospice nurses can sense when someone is nearing the end of life? It's not because of magic or superstition. It's the quiet wisdom that comes from years of tender observation and deeply human experience. These nurses have sat beside hundreds of people in their final days. They've watched patterns unfold not in theory, but in real time. And while every person's passing is unique, there are certain signs that show up again and again. Quiet signals that the body and soul are preparing to let go. Now, I understand this isn't a topic we're always comfortable discussing. But when you reach your 60s, 70s, or beyond, chances are you've already walked through this with someone close to you, a parent, a spouse, a dear friend. And if you haven't yet, you may one day be the one holding someone's hand as they make their way home. Understanding what to expect in those final days doesn't erase the heartache, but it helps us prepare. It softens the fear. It allows us to approach that sacred time with greater calm, compassion, and even gratitude. One of the first signs hospice nurses often notice is a gentle withdrawal from the world. It doesn't happen all at once. It's more like a slow, quiet turning inward. The person may talk less, spend more time with eyes closed, and respond less to phone calls or visitors. They aren't upset or depressed. They're simply detaching. Not in coldness, but in quiet purpose. Many nurses describe it as the soul beginning to shift its attention from the outer world to something deeper. Like the soft dimming of a light, it's not sudden darkness, it's a peaceful fading. Family members might feel hurt or confused when their loved one no longer wants to eat or watch TV, or when conversation grows quiet. But this is not rejection. In fact, it's a sign of preparation, of the body and spirit conserving energy for the journey ahead. There was a man named Walter, 84 years old, who was known for his stories, his humor, and his warm spirit. In his final days, he asked for fewer visitors. He kept the blinds drawn and declined music or television. When his daughter offered to watch their favorite show together one last time, he simply smiled and said, "Not today." That was it. No dramatic goodbye, just a gentle stepping away. His hospice nurse later explained that Walter wasn't saying goodbye out loud because he was already doing it quietly, inwardly. He was preparing, not in fear, but in peace. Another powerful sign is a noticeable change in breathing. Families often find this part unsettling, especially if they're unfamiliar with what's happening. A person's breathing may become irregular, slow, shallow, and at times marked by long pauses. Then, suddenly, a deep breath may come out of nowhere. This pattern, known as Shane Stokes breathing, can be alarming to witness, but hospice nurses reassure us that it's very normal. It's not a sign of pain. It's a sign of transition. The body is beginning to slow down. It's doing what it knows how to do, letting go. I once heard about a woman named Dorothy, a 79-year-old choir singer who had filled churches with her voice for decades. In her final days, her breath came like quiet waves, sometimes soft and close, sometimes distant and still. Her daughter sat beside her, gently breathing in sync. She later said, "I thought it would be terrifying, but instead, it was holy." Dorothy had once said, "Breathing is the music we don't notice until it changes." And in those final moments, her breath became sacred music, one that her family could feel, even in the silence. Medically, these breathing changes happen because the brain slows its signals to the lungs. Spiritually, some believe it's the body's way of drawing inward, of preparing for something eternal. There's no panic, no struggle, just simplicity. The body begins to let go of effort, and the soul begins to settle into stillness. If you've found comfort in this so far, feel free to comment number 2 below to let us know you're here. And if you haven't yet, please subscribe to support more compassionate, honest content like this. We're going to continue with more signs that hospice nurses witness in life's final days, because the more we understand, the more lovingly we can walk with those we care about. Many people are surprised to learn that hospice nurses often sense when someone is nearing the end of life. It's not magic. It's the result of years of quiet observation and deep experience. These nurses have seen patterns, subtle changes in behavior, breath, and presence that show up again and again. While every person's journey is unique, there are signs that often appear in the final days. Understanding these signs doesn't remove the pain of losing someone, but it can bring peace, clarity, and even a sense of reverence for what is unfolding. Point 1. Of the earliest and most consistent signs is a gentle withdrawal from the world. It's not a rejection of loved ones. It's more like a soft turning inward, a quiet preparation for departure. You may notice your loved ones sleeping more often, or keeping their eyes closed longer, even while awake. They may no longer respond to things they once cared about. The TV might stay off. The phone might go unanswered. It's not that they're unaware or upset. They've simply become less interested in the outside world. Their focus has shifted inward, to thoughts, feelings, and perhaps to something sacred that we on the outside can't fully see or understand. Take Harold, for example. He was 84, a retired bus driver known for his warm smile and detailed stories about his routes through small towns. In his final days, Harold grew quieter. He would often sit by the window in silence, watching but saying little. His granddaughter brought him a miniature bus, hoping it would bring back a favorite memory. He smiled faintly, touched it once, and then closed his eyes. That chapter's over, he whispered, not with regret, but with peace. Psychologically, this withdrawal can serve as a buffer. It helps the person conserve energy, but more importantly, it's a signal that they are turning toward acceptance. In hospice care, this phase is honored, not rushed. It's their time, their space, and giving them that space may be one of the kindest things we can do. Families often want to keep their loved one engaged, talking, eating, watching old shows. That's a natural and loving instinct. But hospice nurses gently explain that stepping back can be an act of love, too. Sitting quietly, holding a hand without needing to fill the silence, being present without trying to keep them present. That's how we honor the transition. And often, what fills the silence is not sadness, it's softness. A soft letting go, a quiet turning of the page. Another sign that may appear, often unexpectedly, is a sudden surge of energy. This one can be startling. A person who hasn't spoken in days might suddenly sit up, ask for a favorite meal, or share a memory from decades ago, as if it happened yesterday. Known as the rally, this burst of energy can give families a sense of hope. It can look like recovery. But experienced hospice nurses understand that this final wave of energy is often the body's last effort before letting go. What makes the rally so emotional isn't just the energy, it's the clarity. People who had been confused or barely conscious may suddenly become alert. They say things they've been holding in. They might ask for someone they haven't mentioned in years. They may express forgiveness, share advice, or say, "I love you one last time." I remember Mr. Leonard, a 79-year-old retired carpenter who had been unresponsive for 3 days. Then, one morning, he opened his eyes and asked for black coffee. He told his son to keep an eye on the old workshop. It needed airing out. He smiled, cracked a joke about his favorite hammer, and asked to hear his favorite gospel song. That evening, he passed peacefully in his sleep. Psychologically, this rally may be tied to adrenaline or a final wave of brain activity. Emotionally, it offers something even greater, a gift. One last connection. One last moment of grace. But it's important not to misread it. It's not a sign of healing. It's a sacred window. And if you're there when it happens, just be there. Listen, breathe, say what you need to say. Be present, heart open, without needing to hold on. Another sign, and perhaps the most physically noticeable, is a change in breathing. When someone is close to death, their breathing often becomes irregular. It may sound labored, come in shallow waves, or pause completely for several seconds before resuming. This is known as Cheyne-Stokes breathing, a rhythm of deep breaths followed by silence, then another breath. To someone unfamiliar, it might sound like gasping or struggling. But hospice nurses will tell you, in most cases, there is no pain. The body is not in distress. It is simply adjusting, letting go. The breathing may become slower and more shallow over time. This can last for hours, or it may shift rapidly. Another sound that may occur is called the death rattle, a wet, gurgling sound caused by a buildup of saliva the person can no longer clear. While this sound can be distressing for family members, hospice staff reassure them that the person is typically unaware of it. At this point, they are usually in a deep, peaceful state. Nurses may change their position or use medication to ease the sound, but the focus is always on comfort, not control. I remember Evelyn, an 82-year-old woman who had been unconscious for 2 days. Her daughter sat with her the entire time, holding Her hand. One evening, Evelyn's breathing began to slow. There was a pause, then one or two more breaths, and then stillness. Her daughter later told me it felt peaceful, like watching the tide roll slowly back into the sea. These changes in breath are often one of the last signs before death. And as difficult as they may be to witness, they are also part of nature's rhythm, a sign that the body is completing its journey. In that moment, what matters most is simply being there, whispering love, offering peace, staying close, not in fear, but in grace that if you've made it this far, thank you. This isn't an easy topic, but it's one we all must face, whether for someone we love or one day, for ourselves. Knowing what to expect doesn't remove the sadness, but it replaces confusion with clarity. It replaces fear with peace, and it helps us show up with presence, gentleness, and love. Hospice nurses often say that death, in many ways, is like birth. It has its rhythm, its signs, its sacred unfolding. Just as a newborn takes their first breath into this world, the dying take their final breath out of it. Neither should be rushed. Neither should be feared. Both should be held, with reverence, with grace, and with love that if you've ever been beside someone in their final days, then you know what a holy moment it can be. The quiet hours, the hand held in silence, the stillness that follows. In the end, it's not about doing something heroic. It's about simply being there. Because presence, your presence, is the most powerful comfort you can offer. If you found this video comforting or helpful, please take a moment to like, share, and subscribe. It's a simple way to support our channel and help us continue creating meaningful content for those navigating life's most tender seasons. Thank you for watching. If this brought you peace or clarity, I invite you to share your thoughts in the comments. What did you learn? What touched your heart? And how will you carry that into the days ahead? If this video helped you, please like, subscribe, and share. Your support helps us continue to create content that comforts, informs, and inspires. Until next time, may peace be with you and those you love.